It was supposed to be just another regular Monday morning at the Pinebrook Homeowners Association meeting. The freshly brewed coffee, the neatly stacked agendas, and the predictable smiles of fake civility set the tone as always. The room was filled with the usual suspects: retirees with too much time on their hands, young professionals who thought they could micromanage their neighbors, and stay-at-home parents who treated the HOA like a social club. I sat there, calm on the surface, but with a storm quietly brewing inside me. For weeks, I'd noticed the shift. The way Mrs. Langford's lips tightened when she saw me, the way Mr. Bennet suddenly found excuses to walk the other way when we crossed paths, the side glances, the whispers that stopped the moment I entered. A room, it was all too calculated. Something was coming, and I had a feeling it wouldn't be pleasant, but nothing could have prepared me for what happened next. Mrs. Langford, the HOA president, a woman who wore her authority like an ill-fitting suit, tapped her gavel with excessive enthusiasm, the sharp sound cutting through the murmurs. "We have a motion on the table to discuss the behavior and actions of resident number 27B, Mr. Jared Malin." The way she said my name, as if it were a stain on the community, made my fingers curl into fists beneath the table. A few heads turned toward me, their expressions ranging from smug satisfaction to uneasy discomfort. Others avoided eye contact. Altogether, suddenly fascinated by their coffee cups or the agenda in front of them. My 10-year-old son, Mason, sat beside me, his small fingers clinging to my hand like a lifeline. He had no idea what this was about, but he could feel the tension too. He always could. Even as a toddler, he'd known when something was wrong before I did. "This can't be real," I whispered to myself, my mind racing through every possible reason they could be targeting me. Langford continued, her voice dripping with faux regret. "It has been brought to our attention that Mr. Malin has repeatedly violated the community guidelines. Complaints have been filed about excessive noise, unauthorized renovations, and inappropriate language during neighborhood events." I nearly laughed. Excessive noise? I lived alone with my son, a quiet kid who spent most of his time reading or building Legos. Unauthorized renovations? I'd repainted my front door, a shade of blue that matched the community guidelines exactly. Inappropriate language? I'd once muttered "Jesus Christ" under my breath when someone cut me off at the annual potluck. I looked around. Murmurs filled the room, the whispers no longer subtle. And then came the moment that would change everything. Langford cleared her throat, her eyes gleaming with something close to triumph. "We propose to vote on a motion to ban Mr. Malin from all future community meetings and social events indefinitely." A collective gasp escaped the room, followed by an eerie silence. Mason looked up at me, his big brown eyes filling with tears. "Are they kicking us out?" His voice was small, trembling. I couldn't answer. My throat tightened, my pulse roaring in my ears. "All in favor?" Langford asked, scanning the room with a smug smile. One by one, hands went up. Mr. Bennet, who once shared barbecue recipes with me, who had laughed over beers in my backyard, raised his hand without hesitation. Mrs. Crawley, who my late wife had helped when her husband passed, bringing her meals, driving her to doctor's appointments, lifted hers with a shaky but resolute motion. Even Tim, the teenager I had mentored for 2 years, helping him with college applications and giving him advice when his own father was too busy, raised his hand without meeting my eyes. Every hand raised. Mason burst into tears, his small body shaking beside me. I stood up, my chair screeching behind me. I opened my mouth to speak, to demand answers, to call them out on their hypocrisy, but thought better of it. Words wouldn't fix this. Not here, not now. They wanted me gone, and they were going to get their wish, or so they thought. 3. Days passed in a blur. Mason had barely spoken a word since the meeting. He didn't go to school claiming a stomachache. He didn't play with his Legos or ride his bike around the cul-de-sac like he used to. He just stared blankly out the window, as if waiting for something to change. My heart ached every time I looked at him. He didn't deserve this. None of it. But they had messed with the wrong man. I wasn't just Jared Malin, the single father trying to rebuild his life after losing his wife. I wasn't just the quiet neighbor who kept to himself. I was an attorney. 20 years of litigation experience. I'd spent my entire career defending the innocent and exposing corruption. I'd gone against major corporations, fought for whistleblowers, and brought justice to those who were silenced. This time, the fight was personal. I picked up my phone and called my old friend and partner, Linda Westbrook. "Tell me everything," she said, her voice sharp with the same fire I remembered from our days in the courtroom together. I explained everything. The bogus complaints, the biased voting process, the way they'd humiliated me in front of my son. Linda listened quietly, and when I finished, she didn't hesitate. "We're going to destroy them legally." That evening, after Mason finally fell asleep, I sat down at my desk and revisited every page of the HOA's community charter. I highlighted clauses, noted loopholes, and cross-referenced each point with local housing laws. By midnight, I had a full case file, evidence, witnesses, even a timeline of harassment that stretched back nearly 6 months. It hadn't started recently. There had been little things. Cold stares at the mailbox, trivial citations about lawn. Height, grass must not exceed 3.5 inches when my lawn was perfectly manicured. A mysterious complaint about our dog barking, despite the fact that we didn't even own a dog. At first I'd brushed it off, assuming it was just the usual HOA pettiness. Not anymore. The next day, a certified letter was delivered to every board member of the HOA RE. Notice of legal action and cease and desist to whom it may concern. This letter serves as a formal notice regarding the discriminatory and defamatory actions taken by the Pinebrook Homeowners Association against Mr. Esatz. Jared Malin, a lawful resident of 27B Pinebrook Lane. Your recent decision to ban Mr. Malin from community events and meetings constitutes a violation of both federal and state housing laws, specifically the Fair Housing Act and related civil rights protections. Furthermore, your actions have caused undue emotional distress to Mr. Malin and his minor son, a matter that will be pursued to its fullest legal extent. You are hereby ordered to immediately reverse your decision, provide a formal public apology, and commit to undergoing sensitivity and legal compliance training. Failure to comply within 7 business days will result in legal action being filed in civil court, including but not limited to claims for defamation, emotional distress, and discrimination. Sincerely, Linda Westbrook. The HOA meeting the following week was far from routine. Langford looked like she'd aged 10 years. The others were visibly shaken. Mrs. Crawley kept wringing her hands, and Mr. Bennett couldn't stop clearing his throat. They'd underestimated me, and now they were scrambling. They tried to reach out privately, sending hesitant emails and even knocking on my door one evening. "Drop the lawsuit and we'll reinstate you quietly," Langford suggested, her voice uncharacteristically soft. I crossed my arms. "No. You'll do it publicly, in front of everyone you misled. And you'll apologize to my son." She opened her mouth to argue, but I shut the door in her face. The emergency HOA meeting was packed. Word had spread like wildfire. Langford took the podium. She didn't gavel this time. "We are here today to address the matter concerning Mr. Jared Malin." Her voice wavered. "It has come to our attention that our actions were legally and morally inappropriate. We deeply regret the hurt we have caused Mr. Malin and his son, Mason." She paused, visibly emotional. "On behalf of the HOA, I offer our sincere apologies." Mason sat beside me, clutching a toy dinosaur, his eyes wide. "We hereby reverse the ban and welcome Mr. Malin and his family back into the community." Applause followed, reluctant at first, then growing louder. Months passed. Things changed. Langford stepped down, citing personal reasons. A new HOA president was elected, a younger, fairer woman named Rachel Singh who actually listened. She called me one day, requesting my help to revise the HOA guidelines and improve fairness and transparency. I agreed, but on one condition. Mason would get a say too. We hosted a community barbecue, our first in almost a year. Mason helped me grill, his laughter ringing through the backyard as he proudly flipped burgers. He raced Tim's younger brother on his bike, and when Rachel invited him to speak, he stood on stage and thanked everyone for the second chance. My heart swelled. The man they tried to ban became the man they asked for help. The same neighbors who raised their hands against me were now inviting us into their homes. Even Bennett teared up one evening when he pulled me aside. "You taught us something, Jared. You didn't just fight back. You showed us who we really were." I smiled. Not out of pride, but out of peace. They raised their hands to ban me, but I raised mine to fight back. And this time, justice raised hers too.